Well, it's Thursday evening in Jerusalem. The city is stirring with Passover preparation. Festive songs and fragrant meals filling the air, but upstairs, in a quiet, borrowed room, Jesus is gathered with his disciples, and a shadow has fallen over the table. What began as a sacred meal with friends would soon unravel into a night of betrayal and fear and darkness. Maundy Thursday reminds us not just of the Last Supper, but of the tender love Jesus showed as the storm approached. This verse sets the tone for everything that follows. Jesus knew his hour had come. He knew the cross was near. He knew the betrayal was on the way. And yet, what does John say? He loved them to the end. The word end in Greek is the word telos, not just the finish line, but to the uttermost, to the deepest, fullest, furthest extent. Even when the shadows of betrayal and abandonment crept in, love did not fade. Jesus didn't pull away; he actually leaned in, and that's what makes Maundy Thursday so powerful. It reminds us that Jesus doesn't wait for perfect conditions to love perfectly. He loves fully in the midst of brokenness, betrayal, and also fear. The King of Glory gets up from the table and takes off his outer garment and wraps himself in a towel and kneels to wash feet. This wasn't a gentle spa moment. These were feet that had walked miles in sandals through dust and dung and Jerusalem grime. This was servant's work. No Jewish teacher would stoop this low, but Jesus did. He chose to. Peter couldn't handle it though. You shall never wash my feet, he says. But Jesus replied, if I do not wash you, you have no share with me. In other words, if you don't let me make you clean, then you're going to remain in the dirt. Unless you receive my humble love, in other words, you're going to remain in your sin. I think we're still like Peter today. We want to impress Jesus, not be served by him. But Maundy Thursday reminds us that the gospel doesn't begin with our offering. It begins with Christ's cleansing. Friends, you can't earn his love. You have to receive it. Then Jesus says something very shocking. He says, one of you will betray me. Of course, the disciples are stunned. They look at each other in confusion, and each one of them asks, is it I, Lord? That moment must have felt heavy. Suspicion and sadness and fear had to have filled that room. And even more stunning, Jesus shares bread with Judas, the very sign of hospitality and fellowship and peace. He who has dipped his hand in the dish with me will betray me. We find that in Matthew 26, verse 23. Jesus didn't point fingers in rage. He shared bread. Even in the face of betrayal, he offered a gesture of grace. Why? Because that's who he is. Jesus isn't caught off guard by human brokenness. He doesn't recoil from the dark corners of our hearts. Even when Judas left to do his deed, Jesus washed his feet. He loved him to the very end. Friend, maybe you feel like Judas tonight. You've murdered, you've wandered, you've compromised. Maybe you've even betrayed someone close. You've stolen things. You've lusted after other people. You've done everything that the Bible says is wrong. If that's you, let Maundy Thursday show you this, that Jesus knew, and he still broke bread with you. He still knelt to serve, and he still offers his grace. The last phrase is a loaded one, and it was night. John isn't just giving a timestamp here. He's making, in a sense, a theological point. Darkness had descended, not just outside the window, but inside the hearts of men. The betrayal was set in motion. The wheels of injustice and suffering were now turning. And yet, right in the middle of that darkness, the light of Christ's love still shines. He continues teaching. He continues praying. He continues pressing forward to the cross. This is the pattern of redemption. The light does not run from the darkness. It pierces it. Paul says in Romans 13, verse 12, the night is far gone. The day is at hand. Friends, on Maundy Thursday, we linger in the shadows, but we do so knowing that dawn is coming. Jesus is not overwhelmed by betrayal. He will walk through it, and on the other side, he will rise. Tonight, as we remember that upper room, let's not rush past the shadows. They're real. Maybe you're walking through betrayal today. Maybe your heart feels heavy, like night has fallen. But here's the hope of Maundy Thursday. First, Jesus knows your story, and he invites you to the table anyway. He sees your sin and still kneels to wash your feet. He hears your doubts and still breaks bread with you. Friends, the shadows don't scare him. He walked into them with purpose, and he did it for you. And so now I call you to come. Bring your fear, bring your failure, bring your fatigue. Come to the table where love kneels low and grace is poured out. And then remember, though it was night, the dawn is coming.